you can only get the best training in Thailand. I think the thing is about Thailand is you don't have any other distractions. Like if you go there, you live in there, you train twice a day, and you're fighting sort of every month, every 2 months. You don't have anything else to worry about. Whereas training in England, you've still got to go to work, you've still got to have a job, you've still got life's still normal, but you've got to find space to train twice a day. So that's just the beauty of Thailand. I don't think it's better training or the coaches are better. The lifestyle's easier, and it's far more cheaper to live.
So, we're cooking. Thanks for coming on the very first episode. There's Always a Way podcast. Hello, my mate.
Hello, mate.
Hi, so I appreciate you coming on, I do. I know obviously I've known you for years and years. We went to school together, and since then you've trained us, so normally when you're on the other side of us, it's holding a pad or punching us in the face. Be nice if you didn't punch us in the face this time round. No. I just, we'll take it back to the start, because obviously a lot of people might know your background with following social media and want to know your pro fighter in the Muay Thai scene. So, just tell us a bit about yourself, who you are and what you are.
So my name's Jack Bullock. I'm just turned 30 years of age. I'm from a small village called Winlayton, which is just up the hill from a place called Bladen. And I've always been interested in combat sports, especially since getting chinned off a boxer when I was about 11. Well, that was good. He used both hands when he fought. So that's sort of how I ended up getting into combat sports.
So, as you said, you ended up in physical altercation from a young age. Were you quite a violent lad growing up?
Not violent, I just happened to, we're just knocking around the village, and there was other groups of lads who, would have the odd scuffle with, and it was just part of growing up, wasn't it, as a young lad. But then, I think I picked the fight with the wrong person one day because he punched the shit out of us. I was about 11, he was 13, he turned out to be an amateur boxer, and he was pretty good at it. I got a bit of a hiding and realised I need to learn how to fight.
Actually, so that was literally it.
That's how I got into combat sports.
Really?
I got chinned really bad.
I actually remember that you came to school, didn't you? And your face was all black and blue.
Oh, yeah, I came in. Our teacher's pointed to one side, goes, everything all right at home? I just got chinned on the weekend. But I got a hell of a hiding. I had big black eyes and fat lips and swollen face. I came into school and everyone found that hilarious.
Well, you live and you learn, I suppose. So what happened after that? You said you sort of...
Yeah, my dad picked us up when I got chinned, and he was like, right, you're going to boxing on Monday. So I started at a gym, Wrighton Amateur Boxing Club. I would go for, a couple of months, then pie it off for a couple of months. I was very inconsistent with training because, it's hard and it takes a lot of commitment to actually get good.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to be Rocky in no time. And then I went and I was like, this is actually a lot harder. So I would come and go, and I trained like that for about 3-4 years until I discovered the UFC. And then I was like, ooh, this looks good. And I thought I'd try MMA and got into that after that, and started finding a bit more out there in the combat sports world rather than just boxing, because that's all I really knew when I first started.
So where do you train? So then after that, you like the MMA stuff. Did you do any MMA stuff?
I trained at a gym called Cyclone. It wasn't open for very long. It was just a small gym. Doing MMA and like grappling. I started really enjoying that, and obviously kicking and other things.
Yeah. That
gym closed. So to be honest, after that I just, got fat and didn't really do much with my life. And then when I got a bit older, a few of my mates went to Magaluf when we were like 18, 19, and after that holiday, you start thinking you need to start doing something with your life. I needed to sort my life out. So me and my friend said, there's a Thai boxing gym in Newcastle, do you want to try it out? Because my friend had done Muay Thai, but I'd never done Muay Thai, my friend Johnny. So we went along to the Muay Thai gym, because we just Googled, it was the first one that came up, and it was just along Scottswood Road, which was 5 minutes from my house. So we turned up and thought, it was a good workout. It was really hard, and I just thought, this I like this vibe. So I kept going, and then I trained once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week for about 10 months before I had my first fight, and then I've been there ever since, and that was 11 years ago.
Yeah, because back then, obviously, it was quite a while ago, and Muay Thai wasn't really popular. It was more boxing, wasn't it? It was
boxing, but like I said, MMA was getting a bit more popular. Even still, though, I remember when I was doing my MMA in school, and that people were dissing it and thinking that shite, that kicking and rolling around on the floor, because people didn't appreciate it back then. And then when obviously I got into Muay Thai, even then again, I would say to people, I do Muay Thai, or what's that? So 9 times out of 10, I just said I do kickboxing.
Yeah.
Because it was easier to explain rather than saying, it's this martial art from Thailand where you elbow each other in the face.
Aye.
Repeatedly.
So, apart from the obvious, like between Muay Thai and, say, boxing, what would you say is sort of the main difference? Apart from the rule set, what would you say?
I don't know. Muay Thai, it's using all your body. You're using kicks, punches, knees, elbows, and you can fight in the clinch as well. So you can fight at different ranges. You can fight at kick range, you can fight at boxing range, you can fight close in the clinch. But it's just massive. It's a massive difference in just, attitude as well. Like boxing, I don't know. It makes it interesting when people are a bit more beefy with each other, but 9 times out of 10, Thai boxing is a very respectful sport.
I've heard Liam say about that, yeah.
We're very nice to each other. It's a weird concept because before the fight we're all really nice, and then after the fight we're all really nice, but then for 15 minutes at a time we're trying and absolutely smash each other or cut each other's face open.
100%. It is probably the most respectful, but at the same time the most violent.
It's probably one of the most brutal.
On
the
100% agree with that. I remember your last pro fight, the Victory Show, which obviously you're coming on to fight again, but the last one I went to see, just that full card, the way I was sitting at that, like, I was just like,
violence.
Oh, it was the most violent fight card I've ever seen live. Like, even you, it was
just getting
war.
split open.
Oh.
But it's because that's the thing with the scene getting more and more popular now. There's more people getting into it, so now you're getting a better talent pool, and you're getting better good matchups. So it's creating these fights now that's going to draw people into Thai boxing and make it a bigger sport.
Yeah, it is getting more popular, which is good to see because I love the stuff.
And that's it. Nowadays, like I say, I can see Muay Thai people and people just know what it is, whereas 8-9 years ago I said to people and say, well, what's that?
Aye.
So I had to explain it.
So you mentioned earlier on you trained for about 10 months and then you went into your first fight. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about your first fight?
Yeah, it was. So I was a big lad leaving school. I was probably.
Why?
No, I was a chunky boy.
So I've got a photo on my phone of me and you, and I swear to God, you were 40 clem. Like people wouldn't believe.
Oh mate, I was 16 years old and I left school. I was probably about 105 kilos, so I was nearly 16 and a half stone. I lifted a lot of weight, and then I fight at 76 kilos now. Don't walk around at that, like, but that's what I make weight at. But so I left school. I was a chunky boy, and so obviously getting into fitness, and that was a goal. My dad's into fitness, so when I left school, he got us into training and things. But so when I first started to Muay Thai, I was about 95 kilos. So obviously you can't fight at that weight because people are enormous. You know, carrying no body fat at 95 kilos, get destroyed. So my coach said, right, if you want to have your first fight, you need to get down to like at least 86. So in my head, I thought, I'll be ripped at 86. So I lost about 10, 11 kilo and I was still a pork ass. I was like, what is this? I had a tiny 4-pack. I was pretty happy with it at the time, but I remember thinking, So I had my first fight, I won.
Mint.
It was good. Obviously went out like every amateur fight, goes out steaming, trying to knock the guy out, end up gassing. But I won 2 rounds out of the 3, so I ended up winning the fight. And then I had my next fight at like 79, and that's when I actually started seeing my 6-pack and stuff like that. I was like, oh yes, this is what, this is more of my natural weight class. So I started fighting at 79, and then after that I went to 75.
Right.
And so I had about 3-4 amateur fights, and then was winning. And then I had a my 4th fight was a semi-pro K1. 5th fight, I went pro in K1.
Right.
So I was 5-0. And I fought someone who was 21-3 on my 6th fight. So I went like a massive step up in level. So like say fighting pro K1. Won that. Fought someone else higher level again. Fought a Romanian lad who had about 60 bouts.
Yeah.
Beat him. So I was 7-0. And then that's when my coach said, right, I'm going to put you in your first A-class Muay Thai, which is pro Muay Thai, where you fight with elbows, no padding, for 5 3-minute rounds, like as real as it gets, like Thailand rules. So I was like, yep, let's do it. So absolutely shitting myself for that, because so that was my 8th fight, and my coach Craig Jost, he was very good in the day. He's very well-renowned coach. Yeah. He's got a friend called Michael Dix, who's also probably one of the best to come out of the UK before he retired. Another amazing coach as well. He thought, I'll bring my friend Michael up to spar with you, and he'll show you what it's like to spar with elbow pads and things like that. So Michael Dix is one aggressive aggressive man, we'll say that. So he'd come up and he was like, all right, so you can start sparring. He went, show him what it's like, Dixie. He fucking knocked us out in an sparring 2 weeks before me fucking A-class fight. So obviously cut us open, like wobbled us, dropped us with an elbow. Got back to my coach, was like, okay, that's you done. I was like, fuck's sake. So we just went in the kitchen, talking about back in days where things weren't done. He just took us in the kitchen and just nipped it together and just super glued it back together. Should have washed it first probably, like, but that was just, at the time I was a bit young and just went, all right mate. So we just nipped it together, glued it, and then I was a bit annoyed that was the sort of the first hour of meant to be a 3-hour training session. So I was a bit annoyed for myself, so I went for a run down the KC, but I forgot to change my t-shirt. My t-shirt was covered in blood. So I'm just running down the KC, just thinking everything's wrong, and everyone's looking at us like I've just committed a murder. So I was like, shit. So I ran back, obviously got changed, went home. And then was a bit nervous for my first A-class fight, because I was just being chinned and sparring. But the only thing I was happy about was, well, at least I'm not fighting that man in 2 weeks.
I suppose it's when you get in there with the most, like, if someone gives you a full-on lick, like, and then you fight someone, I suppose that's the purpose of it, isn't it?
Yeah, he's multiple-time world champion. Like, he was cream of the crop of the UK, so I wasn't that bothered,
Do you
my own fault. I did the same thing several times, and I knew it was coming. You missed the first one about that, and then the second one got us. But so yeah. Then I went on to have my first A-class fight, and I won by 4th round stoppage. So I was, and then from there I just propelled up, and I ended up having about 13 fights undefeated in Muay Thai.
So obviously I've heard between amateur boxing and pro boxing, it's almost like a different sport, like the way you've got to sort of go into it, your tactics, everything. What's the difference between amateur Muay Thai and pro Muay Thai in terms of it?
Similar thing to amateur and pro boxing is the amount of rounds you fight,
right,
and the time that you fight. So like in pro boxing, you're obviously going to fight longer more rounds. So you're in there for longer. Whereas an amateur fight, you normally it's like 3 rounds, so it's like fast paced. Win the first 2 rounds at least, and then you sort of got it in the bag. Whereas if you start too fast in a pro fight and you've got 5 3-minute rounds and you blow your load in the first 1 or 2, then he's still standing there. That's what it's. You've got to learn to pace yourself and be a bit more tactical rather than amateur fighting. It's just people just fucking steaming and just absolutely trying to obliterate each other.
Just teach us how.
Yeah, but I learned that lesson really early on when I had a few fights, and I was, I was like, you get tired pretty quick. No matter how fit you are, you're always going to get tired in a fight. You just get a bit of poker face.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just the amount of time you fight. In sort of the action, the speed of it, like I say, don't get us wrong. Some pro fights you see it in boxing, you see it in Muay Thai, where the bell goes first round and they're at each other like bang.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, pro fights tend to start a bit slower, and they tend to try and suss each other out or assess each other first, and that's very fakey, very feinty. Try to see how people react.
So it kind of goes from aggression to a think of man sport.
Yeah, because
violent chess almost.
Yeah, definitely violent chess, because you can't just steam in and just expect to knock everyone out, because that's what my coach was talking about the other day. I went 13-0, but I didn't actually get that much better because I was just doing the same thing and it was working time and time again. So I had a sort of a natural ability that I was good at. I was good at boxing. I had a good timing for the low kick. And it was working for 13 fights, and it's one of them, it works until it doesn't. And then you've got to think about other things and go back and change your style and all the rest of it. So, yeah, it's a hard game, but...
It is. What would you, in fighting, what would you say is the most difficult thing about fighting?
It's being in the moment and just staying calm.
Yeah.
Like I say, most people, when they first learn to fight, it's trying to learn with actually getting hit and dealing with the pressure and the adrenaline and things like that. And my coach always says, it takes you about 7 or 8 fights just to learn how to fight. Learn how to, I'm here again, I know how to settle down, I know what to expect. Because, like you say, when you first get in there and you're worried about your family being there, or you're worried about just loads of things. There's about a million things going through your head. But now, I've had about 27, 28 fights, and now I'm walking in, I'm only thinking of the objective and keep my shape. Think of this. I'm thinking about me. I'm not thinking about nothing else.
Yeah.
Whereas another thing, when you first start, you're thinking about him. You might watch him on YouTube and go, oh fucking hell, he looks like he hits hard. Oh, he's got a good low kick. I need to watch out for that. And that's where I went wrong in the past, thinking about my opponents rather than just worrying about what I'm doing in the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
That was one thing you said to me. I remember when we were sparring once, and I couldn't hit you, and you were just kicking us to bits, punching us to bits, and it was the first thing you always say is you need to stay calm in these situations because otherwise you're never going to be composed enough to be able to throw something back. But I remember it was the best advice ever. It was the last round and you just went, look, don't think about what I'm doing, just think about hitting me. Came back out, you still punched the shit out of us. it was much better. Punched the shit out of us, but I've definitely done better.
Well, that's it. It's a weird concept, to be honest. It's just learn to switch off really and not. It's weird because you go into sort of a zone or flow state, as they say, but you just sort of switch on and you just say, it's weird, like I say.
Because you literally said to me before, you just zone out.
Aye, especially when it's like I say, it doesn't always end up that way. And fighting's great because that's why you're always going to end up in a bad place at some point in a fight where you've got to keep your composure. You can end up in the corner or against the ropes or against the cage wall when someone's beating, trying to, have their moment where they take you out. And just being able to stay calm under pressure, it's a good mental step for life. That's why I think everyone should sort of train some sort of, like, do something hard because it makes you mentally tougher.
100%.
And someone trying to take your head off is pretty.
Aye, I'll show you what you need to know about yourself, definitely.
And when you're in the corner and you're bleeding and your ears are ringing, you perforated eardrums and broken nose, and you're going, I'm okay. I can deal with this.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about.
I suppose if you can deal with that, you can deal with more shit that's going to come.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Life never normally gets that difficult. Not for, I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, like, no, life never normally gets as tough as getting chinned.
Yeah, humbling experience. Would you say what? So you've obviously won quite a lot, but there are losses in there. Can you remember what your first loss? What happened in that fight?
Oh, that was devastating, to be honest, because I was fighting. It was my 14th fight. I was fighting for a British title. It was a WBC. It was my first title opportunity, and I wanted to be like 14-0 and British champion. That that has a nice ring to it. But then fighting the kid, lot more experience. So I went down to Devon. We weighed in. We fought the next day. So in the fight, it was crazy. I had like a massive spike of adrenaline just with, I think, fighting for my first title. I was like putting a lot of pressure on myself. I was like, I need to win this fight. So I went out there and I didn't listen to my coach at all. It was an absolute barnstormer of a fight from the first round. I was sort of winning. I dropped him, and then I dropped him with a body shot, and then I ran to the neutral corner. He got his count off the referee. My coach was shouting at us, Jack, Jack, Jack. I'm just not listening. So I ran over with my hands down like a dick. He head kicks us, drops me. Oh. So he goes to the neutral corner. I'm getting a count off the referee. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm on the floor. So I get back up. Round ends. Go into the next round. So this is like round 3 or 4. Drop him again. And then I drop him again. I'm winning. I could have literally done nothing for the rest of the fight and still just won the fight. Run in, tried to finish him. With my hands down again. Didn't learn from the first time. He spin elbowed us and knocked us clean out. Oh. Yeah, so I absolutely timbered. He hit us with a spin elbow and I just timbered onto the floor. He was so exhausted, he didn't even look to see if I was down. He just collapsed under the corner. I think he must have just felt it and went, that'll do.
Yeah, felt something up.
So I was on my back like a sloth trying to grab the rope and I like slow motion and trying to pull myself up. I can't remember any of this, to be honest. I lost about 40 minutes of memory from that elbow.
Yeah.
All I remember coming to, I was in the change rooms with medics and they were like trying to put like a little celebrations Mars bar in my mouth, just saying, you need some sugar. I came to, I stood up, I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, have I just been knocked out? And they're like, you've just been knocked out.
So you literally can't remember any.
I remember watching it back, and I was in the ring, the announcement to put the belt around his waist. I patted the fucker on the back and said, well done, man. Can't remember that. I was like, that's about 40, honestly my brain must have been rebooting from getting knocked out, but I was like, that was a mad experience, because that's like half an hour, 40 minutes of my life just gone from my memory.
What was the best advice following that loss that you heard?
Don't run in like a dickhead. If you just stop someone, that's the thing in Muay Thai. People are still dangerous, because I thought he was starting to turn away from us. So I thought, I've got him here, and he just spun and he just cracked us straight in the jaw with a spinning elbow. Because it was just a new experience for me. Because I would had 13 fights of just winning, and I was like, I hit this kid and he got back up and then drops me. I was like, I've never been here before, so it was just a whole new that like I say, I was devastated at the time, but it really did serve us well, because now I've heard people in the past I've went to run in, because you get that excitement, you go, oh no, best keep them hands there before I march my way in there so I don't get kicked in the head.
I suppose that's what it is. You've sometimes got to lose to learn how to win. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. It's that cliche thing. You don't lose, you learn. Yes, you fucking lose. It's shit.
And it sucks
when you got a fucking fat face and you piss and blood the next day, and you're like, I lost last night, but You do actually learn more from your losses than winning. Like I say, I didn't learn anything really from winning 13 fights in a row. I just thought I was mint. And then I lost 2 fights in a row. Actually, I lost that fight from the spinning elbow, and then I was having a K1 fight after that, a kickboxing fight. The kid pulled out, and then I got offered I shouldn't have fought him, to be honest. He had about 60 fights. He was way more experienced than me, like fighting at world level. He was called Ostrivano. He was a big Romanian lad, big as well. turned up the fight. I was like, is that him? I was like, he's rather large. So anyway, got in the ring. He ended up stopping us with a body shot in like round 1. That was poor preparation for myself, and just I shouldn't have took the fight. But you learn from these things.
Yeah.
So I had 2 bad losses in a row. And then I went back, worked on things that I wasn't particularly good at, because I was quite lazy when I first started. Like I say, when I was winning, I was still having the occasional pizza and fight camp, and I was not focusing on footwork or conditioning. I was just thinking, I've got power, I can hurt people, and so it makes you go back and evaluate all the things that you've been neglecting. And I got back in the winning column a little bit, and then so 13 wins and then 2 losses, and then I had to sort my life out.
Mint. What was so you obviously had a few pro fights. Some of them have been in the UK. You mentioned Belgium, obviously you would have been to Thailand, I assume. Can you speak about your experience when you first went to Thailand and fought out there?
Well, first time I went to Thailand, I've been there for training, but then my first fight in Thailand was a year ago in December. So
so it was about 60 years ago.
No, about 60, about a year and a half ago was my first fight in Thailand. Like, I think I've been on holiday and that there and trained, but never sort of took the opportunity to take a fight there when I was there. So before I went out this time, I'd just fought in Newcastle. I'd just won my European title. So I flew to Thailand about 2 weeks later, and there was a Thai man who lived in Newcastle, Mac. He's a promoter and he knows loads of people in Thailand, so he says, if you want to go to Thailand, we'll set you up with a fight. And I was meant to fight in Lumpini Stadium on a show called Fairtex Fight, but then One Championship put a date on, so they took Lumpini Stadium, so I ended up fighting in a different stadium in Bangkok, which is Rajadamnern Stadium, which is the oldest stadium in Thailand, in Bangkok. So I was actually really happy about that. It's fucking awesome stadium. It's all like oval round and like looking down. It's fucking, it was meant. So went out there and we trained at a gym called Fairtex, because Mac had association with Fairtex. So we trained there for about 2 weeks straight. Brutal training, like 5-minute rounds on the pads twice a day. We're clinching and heat. In 32-degree heat was extreme, but probably the fittest I've ever been in my life.
Really?
And probably the leanest I don't think I could get the calories in for how much I was burning. Especially trying to make weight of the things as well. So I was super lean, super fit. Ended up getting matched with an Iranian lad. Fucking Eastern Europeans always hit hard. So I got there, I was like, he's quite a big lad. And then my coach went and spoke to him.
You keep getting fights with big lads. Like.
I've got thick legs, you see, so I'm always a bit short and everyone's always up here. So I'm always tend to be the shorter one when we fight, so that's why I like kicking people's legs. So I got matched with the Iranian lads, and we got the stadium. We weighed in, it was same day weighing, so I weighed in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was fighting at about 8 o'clock in the evening. So I had about a couple of kilos to lose, so I was running up and down this road in Bangkok like 2 in the morning with hoodies and jumpers on, cutting weight. Stupidity, but needs must. So made weight, went home, went back to the hotel and ate loads of toast and jam and just super easy digestible carbs. Fueled back up, went to the fight show, and the night time my coach went over and spoke to my opponent. He come back and went, your opponent's got no front teeth. I went, all right. He went, it means he's easy to hit. I went, that's good then. So I went out the first round. It was only a 3-round fight. Went out first round. I just went 1-2 left uppercut. I went, he is quite easy to hit. This is really good. And then from there, but to be honest, he did hit like a fucking train. He didn't throw a lot, but when he threw it, it was 100% venom. I remember he kicked us in the head, like bounced off the top of my head in the first round, and he gave us whiplash for about 3 days. Fucked my neck, which was horrendous because I was flying back like 2 days later. So I had like a fucking 16-hour fucking flight with a crippled neck. But anyway, he just kept trying to hit us with a big left hook and then a head kick, which was, some people do the same thing over, and I was like, deal with this. Block, check, bang. So I ended up beating him on points pretty convincingly. I was obviously over the moon. I just won my first fight in Thailand at like the oldest stadium. So
what's the things that wrap on your head? What they call?
Among called. So it's basically, it's just like it's blessed It's meant to protect you. It gets blessed by priests and things like that.
Oh,
You
right.
go over the top rope. That's the thing about Thai boxing. We're seeing with boxing there's so many. It's very spiritual. But it's thousands of years old. It's probably one of the oldest martial arts in history, and it's derived from war when they used to fight war, and then it got turned more into a sport. And the way things around their arms, which is meant to be from linen from the mother's dress when they used to go to war. So it's got a lot of tradition still from back then. So. Yeah, I can go on all day about it. But, yeah.
What? So you obviously said that you mentioned the trade and how it was you burned as many calories as you can think. So but at the actual trainers out there, what's the difference between the trainers out there and your trainers in the UK?
To be honest, right now there's not a massive there used to be this thing about the Thais because the Thais were and still are technically the best in the world at Thai boxing. But now the Western world is catching up. Like a one championship, we've got so many British champions and European champions. So it used to have this mystique, you can only get the best training in Thailand. I think the thing is about Thailand is you don't have any other distractions. Like if you go there, you live in there, you train twice a day, and you're fighting sort of every month, every 2 months. You don't have anything else to worry about. Whereas training in England, you've still got to go to work, you've still got to have a job, you've still got life's still normal, but you've got to find space to train twice a day. So that's just the beauty of Thailand. I don't think it's better training or the coaches are better. The lifestyle's easier, and it's far more cheaper to live. If you're paying fucking 10 pence for a bottle of water and £1 for a meal, so you can live there and survive on fight wages and live the dream and not have to,
Who's the maddest character you've met out there?
Thailand, there's a few. Not even in the Thai boxing gyms, just general about. But to be honest, I haven't really met many people I would say who sort of stand out to us in the gyms. And you meet that many people in the gym, it's hard to say. But
they have so many.
Australians are normally funny.
Other
South Africans are normally funny fuckers as well. They're always crazy, walking around with no teeth and just fucking scars all over. Just mate, fucking But no. It's the training, like I say, the training in Thailand's just you don't have to worry about now, and you get so fit with training in the heat and things like that. It's like I say, when I came back I was just there in January. I'd done 3 weeks out there training for my fight I had in March, and come back and everything just felt easy. I was doing 5 minute rounds and that, and then you come back and you do 3-4 minute rounds in the cooler environment. You're like, well, that was a piece of piss. Whereas that's the beauty of it, that you're over there. Don't get us wrong, some gyms, obviously the Thai trainers are legends, or they've had more fights than you've had hot dinners. We were speaking to some of the ones and they were like, how many fights? They were like, I can't remember, probably 200-300 fights. They just can't even remember because they've done it since
you see some of the records and they go into fights, I like fucking 200 fights and not even in the mid-20s.
Oh yeah, 100%. See, I was sparring with 16-year-olds and he's like, I've had 100 fights.
Wow, 16?
Yeah, 16.
He's having his Weetabix, isn't he?
Well, that's the thing, they just fight that regularly because they have to. To survive. That's the difference as well. They do it to support the families and things. We do it because we fucking like it for some strange reason. Most Thais probably don't get into Thai boxing because they want to. They have to support the family, and that's why they do it. And obviously they find talent and then they keep going. But
you've obviously had some immense success in your career. You mentioned your British K1, big kickboxing.
Yep.
And then you had the European Championship as well.
Yeah.
The European belt, sorry. What was the situation with that?
I had to vacate. Had to vacate the belt because I won the belt in November. I had a Thai boxing fight in Thailand, and then after that, I got matched for a few K1 fights. So I wasn't fighting in Muay Thai. So they ended up saying you need to defend your belt, but then I actually never got offered any sort of fights to defend it. And coaches put my name out there saying, can anyone match me, lad? The European title on the line. And it just nothing really came up at the time. And you get like a 6-month window to defend your title once, so they stripped us. But it is what it is. I didn't lose the belt. I was vacated the belt, and to be honest, I know who's got it now, and I think I might be fighting him later in the year. So hopefully we can make it for that title, and that would be lovely. Because
I remember when you won the European Championship, it was such an emotional moment. Your mum was crying and everything, wasn't she? I was like, oh, bless.
My mother, my girlfriend, everything. It was one of them, because obviously it's just a little trophy to show for all the years of hard work that you put into it. Like, belts are lovely. Like everyone wants that sort of feeling of having something wrapped around your waist, because that's like, you see it on the telly. That's like, when I was younger, I used to watch boxing a lot. Like I say, I was boxing champions, being a WBC world champion was like fucking the bee's knees, and so that was a massive moment in my career.
Mint.
World title's hopefully next on the line. That's what I want next. So.
Oh, well, it will happen.
It
Not
will
hope,
happen.
It will happen.
No, I've got to win a couple of fights. Well, to be honest, I think my next fight should hopefully put us in contention of a world title.
Cool. I'll be there. Where is it? Do you know?
My next fight's in Newcastle, 7th of June.
Yeah.
So about 5 weeks' time. Eagles,
Yeah.
Virtue. What's it called?
Virtue Motors Arena.
That's it. The
for the
Virtue
Newcastle
Motors
Eagles
Arena
play.
on Scotstoun Road.
It's a good event, so people should come.
It's a brilliant venue. It's a brilliant event. Like you say, I want to fight. I'm fighting there. And a lot of the top UK Muay Thai scene tend to fight on Victory every year, so I'll definitely check that
We'll
out.
wrap it up with one last question. What is the most important thing fighting's taught you?
To trust the process.
Yeah.
Nothing comes easy and nothing comes quick. So basically, all you got to do is just trust the process. And if you want something, just stick the course. So I see a lot of young kids, especially now, when the gym, and they're like, "Oh, how do you get to this level, and how do you get to fight on this show?" And I says, just trust your coach and trust the process. And that's the same for life.
Yeah.
Life's fucking up and down. It's never plain sailing. So just trust the process and go with the flow.
It'll happen.
It'll happen.